Episode 6 of Chuang Asia just dropped, and I'm really excited to review this one since I've been watching these fan cams all week long, and there are some performances which really surprised me positively, but also some which quite let me down. So in this video we will go through each stage and talk about who deserved to win and who maybe didn't. The theme of this episode is called Position Battles, which means you can choose between either a vocal team, a dance team, or a visual team. Where visual means you combine both, but also like your physical appearance, I guess. In the beginning of the episode, we see again the mentors dividing themselves into two teams. And for this episode, they brought in Santa for Jeff and seemingly downgraded from 10 to 9. Jokes aside, for those who watched Chuang 2021, it's nice to see them. As for the opening song, I quite liked the performance between Santa and the 5 MVPs of last time. It was also nice to see Qiao Yu in this sweet school uniform concept. The only thing that I would have liked is if they at least tried to change the stage a little bit between the first and the second performance. But I guess it's budget problems again. So let's jump straight into the first battle, which is between the team Do You and Whip It. But before we continue, let me answer a question that has not been answered on the show. Yes, I do. We can see that Qiao Yu opts out of the center position because she wants to be a good leader. And I like how she sort of acts like an MC with different tasks to perform in order to get the center position. I personally would have loved to see Panda as center here, since I think she didn't have the chance to shine yet. But I guess objectively, Emma is a little bit stronger than her. As for the performance itself, everyone is just so professional. They seemed like a cohesive group that already debuted. And I have to shout out to Wang Ke. I think she's often overlooked, and even though she was in the center today, she really killed it. And this cool, sexy concept also really suits her. On the other hand, we have the group Whip It. And my two main issues with this group is, first of all, why did Ray reject my girl Eileen and then pick Tegan? Like, I don't get it. I mean, Tegan herself even says that she's not exactly a dancer. Second of all, I just could not tell what the main theme or concept of this group was. Like, I think Ray didn't really express herself too well as a center. I think Coco and Prawl did actually pretty well, but that's about it. Which is the reason why I would put this group into the bottom 2 of this evening. And the result of this first battle came to the surprise of nobody. Next up we have the Shut Up group, aka I Wish My Mind Would Shut Up, against Zulu Paka Tapahe. It isn't that hard to pronounce, is it? For me, this group right here is the biggest surprise of the whole evening, and I liked them the most out of all groups. Not because they had the best song or the strongest performance, but they really showed heart and dedication and teamwork. And it doesn't really come as a surprise because if you look at them individually, none of them really has a big ego. With that out of the way, how good is Arjing? Her vocals are super stable, she killed her own part, but on top of that, she was helping all these other members who struggled with the vocal parts. And in the later stages of the live performance, you can see that Arjing is harmonizing while the others are singing. So she really stood out to me today. As for the other team, I think their performance was quite average. The concept of this song is quite hard to pull off, but Xuanning, as always, did pretty well with their expressions, which gave her also MVP. But I want to say a few words about Xue Yao. It was quite heartbreaking to see her talk about her potential last stage, and I can completely understand that because I watched her during Chuang 2020, where she also ended up finishing as 30th or something, similar to the stage right now. So I just hope that she can get more recognition because she's like a professional in and out. And even in this stage, which wasn't her first choice, and this concept was really hard for her, she pulled it off very well. Last but not least, another reason why this group is my favorite is how they immediately went to their opposition and consoled them after the result announcement. Just shows you how good-hearted these 4 Thai trainees are, And I'm not sure if that would be the same case if the other group would have won, because I can't really imagine Lu Yuting to go over there and hug them. Alright, next up we have the battle of the two vocal teams, Love Me Like You Do against You Were Beautiful. I'm gonna speed up a bit because this video is again getting too long, but I do think that this team, You Were Beautiful, deserved a little bit more praise and more spotlight. Even though they lost, I think they did a great job, because it's really hard to convey those emotions, especially when you haven't been in a relationship, such as Liliana Lee with her 15 years old, who was just like goofing around during the rehearsals. I think that was quite cute. But also just in general, I got goosebumps when Duna was like opening the song so well. And also Mingming, very strong vocal performance by her. I think she conveyed the emotions very well. And also Yin, I mean, we don't have to talk about her. She's just consistently so good. As for the group Love Me Like You Do, I don't know. I just feel like they sound more of a ensemble of 4 solo singers rather than a group, but that could also just be me. Because when you have 4 good vocalists and everyone tries to shine the brightest, then the whole song just sounds a little bit over the top. But I guess it worked out for Lisa because she got recognized. I personally just hope she stops with her green girl stuff. That makes her hard to watch sometimes. Last but not least, we have Ain't My Fault against our visual group Zigzag. And let me tell you this, I was actually really surprised by Ain't My Fault. I think coming into this, I didn't have much anticipation or hope, but this was one of the only groups where every one of them surpassed my expectations. Yui has been just amazing from the start of this show, and I'm really happy that the audience finally recognized her. I guess I just never had Akina on the radar, but she was really devouring the stage as a center. Pailio also, who I previously doubted, she showed some great facial expressions, and even Didi, she did pretty well. As for Zigzag, I think it's hard to rate them, simply because they were a little bit overrated coming into this, not only as the only visual group, but also the first pick of both mentor groups, so it wasn't even their fault. And it's also to me not clear what this visual group concept should look like. Do they focus on dancing or singing or just simply being cute? As for the performance itself, I think it was quite average. You could see that they had some issues in the training with communication, since usually Ruan has very high standards and she couldn't really bring those points across because none of them were speaking Korean or Japanese, and she's not very good in English. So to conclude this last battle, in my opinion, Ain't My Fault should have won, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, Do You won the voting for the best group of the night, which is absolutely justified, all things considered. That wraps up episode 6 quite well. I won't go into detail on the rankings right now, since we have the second elimination coming up next week, where I will go through each single candidate and also give you my predictions for the final lineup. So if you don't want to miss that, please subscribe, as it will also help this channel immensely. Also, I post daily K-pop related shorts and memes, if that's something for you. And if you haven't checked out my reviews on the previous episodes, you can find them right here. Thank you for watching and catch you in the next one.